What is the big lesson that you learned in terms of power of stakeholder management? Like, why do you need stakeholders?
In a professional setup in an organization, it's always a marathon that you run. I've never seen a short sprint or 100 meters or a 200 meters race ever in my corporate life. At least I've never seen that. It's not like a wedding in the family, that it's a one-time affair. Because at the end of the day, you deal with consumers and you deal with humans who are your network partners or bankers or whoever it is. So obviously, when you are in the long run, you need people who must be aligned to the goals to take along with you. The fact is that if I am a tennis player, at the most I'll have to take a decision on my own at the spur of the moment in a court, or I'll have to talk to my doubles partner as to how do I play, right? And how do we coordinate? So for me, my stakeholder out there is the doubles partner because he has to play well. But when you deal in an organization and you deal in a hierarchical organization, most of the Indian companies are, and I could probably relate it to many of the companies that I work for, Reliance or for GCB or for Tata Motors, is that a stakeholder alignment becomes absolutely critical. It's probably the nerve of the organization without which it's very difficult to move forward. If somebody thinks that I can drive a particular project on my own, be it the entrepreneur, be it the owner, or be it the CEO, I think they don't even think on those lines. They need people. But the most critical factor is to identify who are your stakeholders. I generally take the examples of emails. So what are emails I get? Every email has got about 20 to 25 CCs and BCCs without my knowledge marked. Because I always want to be on the safety net. मैंने इसको inform कर दिया. He is also aware of it. I don't gain anything, but I have done my duty of informing. And I believe that should not be the case. Identifying a stakeholder probably is the most critical part. As Indians, I think and it's not any of you probably, we love to hear our own voice. Right? We are never good listeners. I've very rarely I've seen a couple of my bosses being good listeners, but very rarely seen people with good listening skills. They generally would like to hear their own voices. And so there are a lot of perceptions and thoughts created about an individual as a stakeholder. If he is part of this, well, he is not going to contribute anything. So there are a lot of assumptions that are made. So I would think that the first important thing is to identify who all are your stakeholders. So let's take an example, and that makes jobs easier. Now, if I have to, say, appoint a partner for my business, a network partner, and people who sell vehicles, etc., there are a lot of dealers out there in the country. I must understand who my stakeholders are. My stakeholders are my own internal team members. My sales team is my stakeholder. Why? Because they have to sell the vehicles. So they are obviously my stakeholder. My marketing team, they are my stakeholders. Obviously, until unless I market those vehicles, they are. My finance teams, they've got to settle their claims. They've got to do all the financing. They are my stakeholders out there. How would a network partner get funding? My bankers are my stakeholders out there. There are a lot of government clearances. If I got to set up a workshop, there are a lot of environment clearances. So I must understand who from my government department is going to help me out to get those clear. They are also. So it could run into pages. But obviously, not all stakeholders have the same importance when it comes to a final decision making. Some are there for information, some are there to get feedbacks, but there are certain people with whom I have to dwell in deep to understand and carry them along with me. So identifying the stakeholder has been one critical thing that I have learned. And obviously, you do commit mistakes when you start your journey. So you obviously would have missed out somebody. So, and then you understand, okay, I have missed out, but there's nothing wrong. So all of us get into the corporate world to understand that there will always be hits and misses. The second thing is that we must understand as to what does that stakeholder actually want to contribute. Now, if I go to a government department and tell them that the government agency or the department that handles the government affairs in my company, and go and talk to him about certain marketing jargons, he's not going to be interested. I need to be very specific to him and tell him that, well, I'm going to put up a certain workshop out here. There are environmental clearances. And I need a dealership in Marine Drive in Mumbai. See, would the people out there be okay with me putting up a workshop that works in the night and create a lot of sound, etc., etc.? Government clearances are not possible in that part of the town. So he is either going to tell me don't put it, or he is going to tell me that these are some of the things, clearances that we need, and let's work on that. Why is it critical? It's also critical because that defines what's the timeline you need to complete a project. So that's the second thing. You need to understand what their requirements are. Third, I think, and I started off by saying, not all stakeholders need to be given the same level of importance. It's not necessary in life. I think all of us come with a mistaken thought process that sab log hai to carry the, and Indians love to have a crowd of people in the meetings, and that's how it's been. So you carry everybody and then nobody's voice is heard, right? So obviously you must understand that who are those critical stakeholders who are needed for a particular task.